Do you wake up with a heavy heart, wondering why you feel so tired even when you have done everything right? It is a profound sense of weariness, an unfulfilled longing that feels much older than your own years. What if this grief you carry is not actually yours? What if you are merely the current vessel for the unspoken burdens and unlived dreams of the women who came before you? Carl Jung once said, "Nothing has a stronger influence on our psyche than the unlived life of our parents." For decades, you have been bound by invisible threads pulling you back into the ancient shadows of your lineage. You might be living out a script written long ago by grandmothers who could not speak their truth or mothers who sacrificed their fire for safety. Today, we begin the sacred ritual of handing back what was never yours to carry. We will map your ancestral shadows and finally cut the cords of historical expectations. This is not an act of betrayal, it is your liberation. It is time to stop breathing with someone else's lungs and finally reclaim your own story. Welcome to Depth Journey, a sacred space to release the past and step into your true and vibrant wholeness.
Why do so many women in their 40s and 50s feel a deep exhaustion that a weekend away simply cannot touch? You might have the career, the family, and the home you always wanted. You have checked every box on the societal list, and yet there is a persistent fatigue, a creative block that makes your once vibrant life feel like a faded photograph. You search for the cause in your daily schedule, your diet, or your lack of sleep. But what if the source is not in your calendar, but in your bloodline? This is what we call the ancestral shadow. Jungian psychology suggests that we are not born as blank slates. We are born into a field of unexpressed emotions and unfinished stories. Science now points to epigenetics, suggesting that the trauma and resilience of our grandmothers can live within our very cells. Think of the sandwich generation, women like you who are caring for parents and children at the same time. You carry the physical load of today, but you might also be carrying the psychic load of a century. You may feel a strange coldness in your hands or a persistent tightness in your pelvis, the area where we store family history and the power of creation. This heaviness is not a sign of failure, it is a signal. It is a whisper from your female lineage, an echo of the women who had to be strong so that you could exist. But their way of being strong often involved burying their grief, silencing their anger, and putting their own souls in the dark. Now that unexpressed energy is vibrating in you. It manifests as a feeling that something is missing, even when everything looks perfect on paper. You are carrying a grief that you did not create. You are paying a debt that you did not sign for. If you find yourself unable to truly thrive, it might be because you are still living someone else's script. This unmasking of midlife weariness is the first step toward wholeness. It is about realizing that your exhaustion is actually a sacred message. It is your ancestors telling you it is time to stop because we were never allowed to. But how did these threads become so tightly woven around our potential?
The mask you wear today, that polite, selfless facade, it is often an heirloom, a treasure handed down through your female lineage. But this treasure is also a heavy chain. For generations, women have been rewarded for their silence and their ability to keep their own souls in the dark. We were taught that a good woman is one who has no self, only service. This is the ancestral feminine burden. Think about the women who came before you, your mother, your grandmother. They lived in times when their voices were not just ignored, they were sometimes dangerous. Their survival depended on suppression. So they learned to hide their fire. They learned that safety was found in the word should. I should be quiet. I should be satisfied with less. I should take care of everyone else first. This historical self-abandonment has become your emotional inheritance. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He believed that we often act out the unintegrated shadows of our ancestors. If your mother felt trapped in her life but never spoke of it, that feeling of being trapped now vibrates in your own nervous system. This is the heart of the mother wound. It is not about blaming her. It is about realizing that your mother's shadow, her unlived potential, is now pressing against the boundaries of your own life. You are trying to fulfill a potential that she was denied, but you are doing it while wearing her heavy cloak of ancestral guilt. These unseen chains keep you from your true wholeness. They whisper that to be happy is to betray the suffering of the women who came before you. You find yourself holding back, shrinking, just as they did, because your body remembers a time when taking up space was not allowed. This is why you feel that unexplained heaviness in your chest, even when your life is technically good. You are carrying the weight of a century. These patterns are not your destiny, but until you acknowledge them, they will continue to run your life from behind the scenes. You are paying a debt you never signed for. But how do we begin to identify these threads? How do we separate our own truth from the echoes of the past? How do we begin to untangle the threads that have been woven into our very DNA? How do we separate our own truth from the echoes of the past? It starts with a deep and compassionate act of recognition. I invite you to try a simple practice tonight, something we call emotional genealogy. Think of your mother and your grandmother. Identify the 3 biggest fears they carried throughout their lives. Was it the fear of not having enough? Was it the fear of being judged by the neighbors? Or the fear of their own power? Now, look into your own life. See how those same fears are still running the show, making your choices for you. In Jungian shadow work, we do not fight these patterns. We acknowledge them, and we validate the pain that created them. They are not flaws, they are survival skills that are no longer needed. Now, imagine that heavy, cracked obsidian stone we saw earlier. It sits in your cupped hands, heavy and cold. This stone represents the unvoiced grief and the self-abandonment they endured so you could exist. Visualize yourself standing before a long line of the women from your lineage. Extend your hands and offer the stone back to them, not with anger, but with profound love and respect. And here is your liberation spell for this journey. Say Jung words now until you feel the energy shift in your body. This grief belongs to you. This silence belongs to you. I see it, I honor it, but I return it to you now. Again, I honor your journey, but I reclaim my own story. Every time you speak these words, you are cutting a cord. You are telling your nervous system that it is finally safe to be whole. You are not betraying them by being happy. You are redeeming their suffering by finally living. When you hand back the weight, you clear the path for your own authentic potential to emerge. This is the alchemy of reclaiming your story. You are turning their leaden burdens into the gold of your own wisdom. But how do we make sure these cycles stay broken? How do we use the power of conscious choice to build a future that is truly ours? Every time you choose to say no to an old family pattern, a soul in your bloodline is liberated. This is the immense power of conscious choice. For centuries, the women in your family may have been caught in a loop of silence or a cycle of self-sacrifice that never ended. They did not have the tools or the safety to choose differently. But you do. Breaking a generational cycle does not mean you stop loving your mother or your grandmother. It means you stop performing the same tragedy. It means you look at the historical shoulds and you decide they no longer apply to your present reality. I should never be a burden. I should always put my needs last. Every time you challenge one of these internalized scripts, you are reclaiming your inner sovereignty. This is not a single dramatic event. It happens in the small, quiet choices of your daily life. It happens when you choose rest instead of working until you collapse. It happens when you speak your truth even when your voice shakes. In your physical body, this breakthrough feels like a massive release of pressure. Perhaps it is a softness in your jaw or a warmth that finally reaches all the way down to your feet. Jung taught us that consciousness is the ultimate healer. When you bring these ancestral shadows into the light, they lose their power to control your destiny. You are no longer a puppet pulled by the strings of the past. You are the weaver of your own future. Imagine your ancestral tree no longer gnarled and leafless. See the gray bark burning away, revealing the glowing golden wood of freedom underneath. This is the gift you are giving to yourself, but it is also a gift to those who will come after you. You are clearing the air for your daughters and their daughters. By choosing wholeness today, you are ensuring that the cycle of suffering ends with you. This is your midlife liberation. But what does this new state of being actually feel like? How does it transform your once faded life into a masterpiece of clarity and purpose? You do not betray your ancestors by choosing to be happy. You redeem their suffering by finally, truly living. By choosing wholeness today, you are becoming a radiant lighthouse for the daughters and granddaughters who will follow your path. This is your most sacred legacy. Let us affirm this liberation together. Please write in the comments right now, breaking cycles, and share one heavy burden or one old family should that you are handing back to the past tonight. Your story is now yours to write, free from the exhausting weight of a century. But as you step into this new, vibrant freedom, beware of a subtle new shadow, the shadow of relentless and exhausting self-improvement. Join me for our next exploration, when self-improvement becomes a shadow, the call to radical acceptance. We will learn how to love your beautiful pieces instead of constantly trying to fix them. You can find our entire journey in the playlist, Shadow Work for Women, Jungian Midlife Awakening. Until next time, stay authentic to your own soul. Keep breathing and stay whole.